Greetings and welcome to another Lessons with Odin. This episode is part 2 of the Joint Ring Saga, where we will be constructing this magnificent piece that falls on the joint of the finger and the end of the finger with this little cool connection piece. Last episode we started off with the giant piece. So this is what you should have if you want to make the entire thing, or if you just want to make the joint ring, that's cool too. But you'll find this in a previous Lessons with Odin. I will leave links either up here or down below, or both. What have you? I have a full materials list over on the description box, as well as on the previous video if you want more details in it, but what you should have left over is a 4mm pearl and a 4mm bicone, as well as 4 Diamonduos, and you'll still be using your size 15 seed beads and size 11s, as well as your needle and thread. So we'll make this a quick intro here, and let us get started. Actually, I lied, you will need 3 4mm bicones because I miscalculated. So, the right numbers will be in the description box. Okay? Okay. So we are going to start off the joint ring by adding a size 15 4mm bicone, size 15 Gemduo, size 15 bicone, 15 Gemduo. Then you're going to leave a reasonably sized tail, because you can use it for the ring band. We're going to start off just like the big ring by passing through each one of these beads once more, then tying a knot with your tail end and your working thread. Also make sure that when you've strung the Gemduos, you string them on the same orientation. Flats, flats on both, or points, points on both. Just make sure they're in the same place. And that is what our base looks like. We have 2 wings on the side and 2 4mm. My thread is coming out of the knot between a size 15 and a Gemduo. So next up, I'm going to add 2 size 15s, 1 size 11, 2 size 15s. I'm going to jump over the Gemduo and pass through the next size 15. Once more, 2 size 15s, 2 11s, 2 size 15s. We're going to jump over the bicone to pass through the next size 15 over. Repeat that 2 more times. Next, we're going to step up by passing through the next 2 size 15s and the 11. Then we're going to do the figure 8 again with our 4mm pearl. So I'm going to work with the size 11 bead across the way from each other. So I'm coming out of my right hand side. I want to pass through the left hand side of the size 11 across the way. Then I'm going to pass back through the pearl. Then I'm going to pass back through the pearl. Go through the opposite side of the size 11 that we started from. So it ends up like that. From here, I'm going to add 3 size 15s and pick up the next size 11 along the round. 3 more size 15s, pick up the next size 11. This one's going to be right across the pearl. And repeat that 2 more times. So we end up with that. Next up, we're going to pop the center size 15s. So I'm coming out of a size 11 right now. I'm just going to pick up the first size 15. We're going to skip over 1 and pass through the next size 15, the next size 11, and the next size 15. We're going to pull that through, making sure thread tucks under so that the size 15 pops out. I'm already at the first one of the next round, so I'm just going to skip over the second one, go through the size 15, size 11, size 15, and repeat that 2 more times. And our pearl is nicely secured. Next, we're going to wrap the Diamonduos as well as the bicones. So, I'm going to sneak down there. I'm coming out of a size 11. I'm just going to go down 1 size 15, then pass through the bottom hole of the Diamonduo. I'm going to add 5 size 15s, pass through the top hole of the same Diamonduo. 5 more size 15s, pass through the bottom hole again. Snake up the next 5 size 15s to end up at the tip of the Diamonduo. Add on 2 size 15s, 1 size 11, 2 size 15s, and go down size 15s on the side. Then we're going to move over to the 4mm on the round. So I am passing through the bottom hole of the Diamonduo, then through the next size 15 and the bicone. Then I'm going to add 3 size 15s, size 11, 3 size 15s, and pass back through the bicone bead. Then we're going to pop that size 11 by passing up through the size 15s, skipping over the size 11, going down the size 15s, and back through the bicone. Then you'll travel to the Gemduo, do the same thing here on the opposite side, travel here, do the same thing on the bicone over here. Then to put your band on, what you're going to do is move up to the very tip of one of the Gemduos. You'll add your 2 size 11s, or you can use 2 size 15s. I would just be very, very cautious. And you'll start your ladder stitch. So you'll add 2 beads, pass back through the size 11, go through the beads that you've added, and so forth until you've added a chain with your ladder stitch, and then connect it to the opposite side of the Gemduo. Over here, you'll have a size 11 C bead over there. Now, if you want more detailed instructions, I went over it on the first ring video where we beaded this part. So instead of these 2 size 15s, you're going to replace it with a size 11. So do that until you have finished your joint ring. And that is your joint ring. Now, I managed with size 15 seed beads for this ring band. That's probably because I used an opaque finish instead of a metallic, as well as that Hercules thread really gets through things. So, and you also want to be cautious when it comes to sizing, because I have this writer's callus up here that's all a big giant bump. I intended this for the middle finger, but I can't fit it over that because of that damn bump, because I measured right here. So that's fine. Anyway, so here is where it gets kind of arbitrary. You will need to fit whatever your connection is to your hand. However, the length of this bit right here is not the same as the length of all the way down here. So, there's a couple of ways you can go with this. One, you could just not join them at all, whatsoever. Or you can attach a chain with some jump rings on these size 11s on here. That way it doesn't really matter, because a lot of those usually just have like some flappy parts that are fun to play with. Or you can measure exactly, and what I have found is, as I was testing the first one, that when you bend your finger, that one will slip over. So if you want that to happen, and then when you have your hand relaxed, that stretches and fits properly. Otherwise, what happens here is I've had this one that fits perfectly when my finger is bent, but when I release my hand, you got that little thing going on, which isn't bad, and it's kind of cool, but if that's not what you're going for, we'll seek the closest alternative. So what we'll also want to do is, you can do just a simple ladder stitch of single beads or double beads that just joins the two together to make it real easy. Like for example, the way I have it here, I started off with some of the ladder stitch with single beads. So you can just do this all the way down instead of having these fancy bits, but I like some fancy bits. So what I would do is basically lay your Diamonduos together and see if you need any more, if you want to be fancy, to add a bicone in between that, and see how that looks. Because from right now, it looks like I don't need to add any extra bits to it. It looks like I can get by with just this component. So, let us work on making that component. I am going to start at my joint ring at the size 11 bead that is across from my bicone, wrapping around it. I can start there, or I can also start from the center bead on the big ring that is across the way from the focal drop. So either way, you can do the same thing. So from there, I'm going to start off by adding on 2 size 15s, a Gemduo, 2 size 15s. I'm going to be careful when I thread on that Gemduo to make sure when I wrap it around, it's going to be facing the same direction as the one on the ring. So we have up, up. We want that to be up too. Then I'm going to pass back through this bead that we started from, the size 11, and pull everything tight. Then I'm going to reinforce that once. Then I want to end up coming out of the 2 size 15s on one side. I'm going to add 5 size 15s, pass through the top hole of that same Diamonduo. Add on 5 more, then pass down through the 2 size 15s on the other side. Through the size 11 at the center. Then go all the way up to the very tip here. I'm going to add 2 size 15s, size 11, 2 size 15s. Go down 5 size 15s, then pass through the bottom hole of the Gemduo. Go up through 5 size 15s, through the top 2 size 15s in the size 11, down 2 size 15s, through the top hole of the Gemduo, then back up until we reach the size 11 seed bead. So go through 2 size 15s and the size 11. Next on the chain is the bicone. I'm going to add my bicone and 1 size 11 bead. I'm going to pass back through the bicone to form a fringe drop. Then I'm going to pass through the opposite side of the size 11 that we started from. Then I'm going to add 3 size 15s, a size 11, 3 size 15s, and pass back through the lower size 11 bead to wrap around the bicone. 3 size 15s, size 11, 3 size 15s, pass back down the other side of the bicone. We're going to pop the size 11 beads next to the opposite sides of the bicone. So pass up through 3 size 15s, skip over the 11, go through 3 size 15s, pull tight to make sure that pops, pass through the size 11, as well as 3 size 15s, skip over the size 11, pass through the next size 15s and the next size 11, skipping over the one next over to pop the point. And next, we're going to move over all the way at the top to the next size 11 at the opposite side. And from there, we add 2 size 15s, our Gemduo 2 size 15s, again, making sure that the orientations are the same. Wrap around and pass back through the size 11 that we started from. Then you're going to repeat the same steps over here that you did to wrap this Diamonduo. And from there, we're going to join it with the bottom ring. So once you have your center component completed, you want to do an extra resize to make sure that you have everything where you want it to be. And for me, this looks like it's going to be good to join right where I want it to. If I needed some extra room and extra length in my piece, all I can do is add on another set of ladder stitches using just a size 11 seed bead. So I'll just add one, go down, move that over, go back through, then reinforce so that I start a chain and fill in the length that I need before to reach my ring. You can also do this on the other side before you start the joint between the finger ring and the joint ring. If you want it more centered and if you have to use a lot more of these, I would recommend building this component first, then adding these stitches of ladder stitch on each side to keep it center, then join both sides in opposite sides of then join the joint ring, join the finger ring. Make sense? I hope so, to kind of add some extra length there. But since I don't really need it, I'm not going to use it. But joining the 2 sides of the ring together is not really a big deal. It's pretty much the ladder stitch itself. what I'm going to do is I'm going to join them together with the size 11s next to each other. I'm going to make sure my Gemduos are facing in the same direction. They're upwards on this side, upwards on this side. My thread is coming out of the bottom right of this piece. I'm going to thread it through the bottom right of the main ring of the Gemduo that is not occupied by anything else. I have the 2 ring bands on this side, and I have the dangly part on the other side. So pull that together, pass back through the starting size 11 seed bead and pull tight so that those join together, reinforce it, and then end your thread. And then you will have your finished piece. I hope you enjoyed this one. This was a lot of fun, even though the headaches were, fun. But I think they quite paid off, because this is a really striking piece. And I hope you share with me, I hope you try this out and show me pictures of what you've created, because I want to see your interpretations of it, what adjustments you had to make, and if you had any problems with it. Feel free to drop a comment over at our Facebook group at Creations from Lessons with Odin. If I don't help you out, I'm sure all our other beading friends over there will help you out as well. And I think that will do it from me. Be sure to like up this video and subscribe if you want to see more bullshit from me. Thank you to all of my patrons over on Patreon for your support. It really helps me out to exist while I can bring forward these creative, fantastical, shiny things to you. If you would like to have exclusive tutorials that are not posted over on YouTube each month, come on over and join us over on Patreon. Last month was these fantastical, sunbursty type pendants that are quite reversible, actually. They look very striking on the back side, too. So, if you want to learn how to make these and a bunch of other tutorials once each month, check out my description link down below, and check out my Patreon page. And feel free, while you're down there, to follow me on all of my social media so you can see what is going on in the happenings of Odin. I do a lot of obnoxious shit. So, all pertinent links will be down below. Thank y'all so much for joining me, and of course, if there's anything I need to be trying out right now, feel free to let me know down below, and I will see you next time.